Thank you very much for staying on. Welcome back. Now, the Ghana Statistical Service says inflation for the month of June has recorded a decline to 12.1%. Announcing the new rate in Accra, acting government statistician Ban Wadie hinted a marginal decline in food inflation and some non-food inflation as well, including household and health equipment. This new rate indicates a decline of less than 1% from the rate recorded in May, and is also the lowest inflation recorded since December 2013.
An effect on the inflation?
Yeah, it can be if the policies affect the consumption of goods and services. You see, what we are saying is that the consumer price index, the inflation is measuring the changes in the consumer price index. I hope you understand. So that if the policies affect the consumption of goods and services, then it's likely to impact or to influence certain changes in the rates that we are measuring.
Okay, what has been the significant change in the non-food inflation rates that caused this?
The significant change in non-food inflation rate. Okay, we mentioned that, for example, I just want to take you back to the previous month. I just want to take the May and June scenario. For example, in May, the inflation rate for vegetables was 1.3%. For June, it dropped to 0.7%. Then when you look at fruits, the rate was virtually unchanged between May and June. Then when you look at sugar, jams, and confectionery, the rate in May was 5.6%, but it dropped to 4.6% in June. When you look at food products that are not elsewhere classified, like salt and so on, and is it Maggi? How do you call it?
Those not food items, not but the spices.
The spices. You realize that these items, the inflation rate went up slightly. But when you come to say milk, cheese, eggs, and sugar, the inflation rate, there too, the inflation rate went up slightly. But for cereals and cereal products, between May and June, the inflation rate remained unchanged.
Yes, so it means these items that you've mentioned had recorded an increase.
Yes, some recorded, but let me finish.
Okay.
It depends on the weight. You see, we have weighting factors underlying all this. So that for maybe what people spend on salt and so on, it may be very, very small compared to their total expenditure on food and other items. Okay, other food items. But when you come to others like coffee, tea, and cocoa, it dipped, it dropped. Then again, when you come to items like meat and meat products, it dipped slightly, but it was not significant. Then when you come to fish, it dropped, even though the rate was still high. It dropped from about 13.1% to 12.7%. Again, and all these factors affected overall food inflation rate. So we recorded a drop of 0.1% in the monthly inflation rate for food.
Even the non-food?
The non-food, we have a similar situation where there's been a mix of...
And in another development, government has fixed a new minimum wage at 9 Ghana cedis 68 pesos, up from 8 Ghana cedis 80 pesos, a 10% increase in the wage. Now, the National Tripartite Committee announced a new wage in a statement jointly signed by the Employment and Labour Relations Minister Ignatius Bafwewia for Government, the Employers Association, and Organised Labour. The new wage takes effect from January 2018.
The National Tripartite Committee, NTC, concluded negotiations on the determination of the 2018 National Daily Minimum Wage at its meeting held on Tuesday, 11th July 2017. The committee agreed that the National Daily Minimum Wage be increased by 10 percentage points, that is from 8 cedis 80 pesos to 9 cedis 68 pesos. The effective date for the implementation of the 2018 National Daily Minimum Wage is 1st January 2018. Accordingly, the committee directs that any establishment, institution, or organizations whose daily minimum wage is below the new national daily minimum wage should adjust its wages upward with effect from January 1st, 2018. Any establishment or institution or organization that flouts the new rate shall be sanctioned in accordance with the law. The National Tripartite Committee recommends that the national daily minimum wage should be tax exempt. The NTC wishes to reiterate its commitment to the improvement of incomes and productivity in both the public and private sectors of the Ghanaian economy.
Now, the Gold Street Business reports that $150 million worth of fruit juice is imported into the country every year. The report quotes only $40 million worth of juice, representing 28% of total domestic demand in the country, are said to be collapsing, with almost all of them operating under 10% capacity. Following this report, we put a spotlight on fruit juice processing and manufacturing sector on our Industry Watch segment today.
The market for processed fruits is booming amidst high demand on both the local and export fronts. But at the same time, only a few companies at the moment have the required level of professionalism to export to the EU market due to certified requirements. That's according to the West Africa Food Scoping Study in 2016, which was commissioned by the Netherlands Enterprise Agency in collaboration with the Embassy of the Kingdom of the Netherlands in Accra and Abidjan. Key among its observations was a shortage in dried, juiced, or cut food products on the side of West African companies and that of the EU importers. The study revealed profit margins, especially for dried fruits, are very healthy. It also acknowledges the increasing demand for such products in local and regional markets. Nigeria, for example, came up as a big importer for processed fruits, while Ivorians and Ghanaians themselves showed an increased ability to afford locally produced fruits, juices, and food snacks. However, many smaller and medium-sized factories have difficulties meeting these required export conditions. This situation is blamed on lack of poor storage facilities, among other post-harvest issues, given the seasonal nature of the fruits. For Ghana alone, the horticulture export sector provides more than 70,000 direct and indirect jobs. Between 2004 and 2016, the country has benefited from a multitude of development projects focusing on the fruit sector. Most of them worked in a public-private setting, with the Ministry of Food and Agriculture playing a strong role in design and implementation. These interventions, totaling well over $600 million, were provided by international agencies, including the USAID Trade and Investment Program for a competitive export economy, the Millennium Challenge Accounts Meter, and the World Bank's HEII initiative, which sought to promote the diversification and innovation in the horticultural industry, not forgetting other equally important local initiatives. This shows there is a potential in the sector. However, the reality is a different story. JoyBusiness checks found lack of funding, cost of power, inadequate raw materials, and consumer preferences as some of the challenges confronting the sector. The Coastal Groves Limited.
All right, so among highlights of the report that you just saw was consumer preference. Because of this, we hit the streets of Accra to sample the views of some consumers on their choices of fruit juice brands.
I prefer the local one because the foreign one is different.
Local fruit juice, I tried one back in uni. It was a good product.
Personally, I would like the locally juice to take for my own health.
I would rather prefer buying my own juice, fruits, and making my own smoothies. So if I want a banana and pineapple smoothie, I buy banana and pineapple and just blend it up.
I've tasted a variety of ones produced outside, and I feel it tastes better than the ones produced here. The ones produced here, I'm not sure what it's made of. I'm not really confident with the product, so I feel I'm more confident with the foreign ones.
And the local one, it comes with, you feel the fruit in it, and it's very thick than the foreign one.
Natural, and probably maybe you can even see how it is being extracted. Just like even somewhere here we have sugarcane juice. Do you understand? So being there and seeing how it is being made will also give you the appetite for you to, probably purchase it and buy and take for your consumption. But imported fruit juice, probably you don't know the kind of preservatives or whatever that the process it have undergone. Although it's important here, although the government have also looked into it before they allow it to be in the country.
I really do not know where they get their fruits from and how quality they are. So I'd rather buy them locally and just go and blend it in my house.
Could the issue of the cost be also a factor?
That is definitely a factor, but then the most important factor here is the quality.
Importing it will cost a lot, so I think locally we should patronize in the locally made one.
There are other foreign products that are competing. I won't blame the local markets because the local markets has to deal with everything from the scratch. So they have to get fruits, they have to get it processed and everything. So if there could be something that would be done to help the local market so they can compete with the foreign products, it won't be bad because there are local fruit juices that are doing extremely well down here. But I won't blame the importers too because Ghanaians have been trained with the taste of foreign products are so good. And
all right, so obviously this has a huge potential for the export sector. We're trying to link up with the Ghana Export Authority to get the way forward for this sector. As and when we get through, we'll put them on board. Now, moving on, this year's West Africa Fertilizer Agribusiness Conference has been held in Accra. Among topics discussed include how farmers can obtain affordable fertilizers, as well as exploring ways of improving investments in the agribusiness value chain.
The West Africa Fertilizer Summit is currently underway at the Mövenpick Hotel. And this particular summit has brought together various stakeholders to discuss fertilizer trade as well as ways to improve investment in the agribusiness value chain.
Over 200 international participants were present at the 2017 West African Fertilizer Agribusiness Conference. Among others, they discussed how farmers can obtain fertilizer at the right prices, as well as explore ways of improving investment in the agribusiness value chain. Speaking to Joy Business, country manager for the Africa Fertilizer and Agribusiness Partnership said government must improve upon infrastructure development to help drive down the cost of fertilizer.
There are a lot of things that contribute to the price, but what we can do as a country is to provide the right environment for the fertilizer to get to the farmers. Again, you look at around this time during the rainy season, that's where they distribute fertilizer. That's wrong. The fertilizer should go before the rain starts because we don't have good roads. So if you wait till the rain starts and you are sending the fertilizer to Tumu, then you're going to have a lot of problems. The fertilizer will not get to the farmers on time. If you don't use the fertilizer on time, you delay 2-3 days, it's going to also affect the yield. So there are so many factors that goes on to make sure that we get the fertilizer at the right price and the farmers apply and get the right output and be able to sell. If the farmer gets the yield goes up and the farmer is able to use it, get more money, the farmer will put more money into the use of fertilizer.
On his part, the Deputy Minister for Agriculture, William Kwetu, assured that plans were in place to improve infrastructure development to achieve better distribution channels.
Ghana has also laid out ambitious plans to invest in infrastructure, which is key in the ease of business and especially so for the fertilizer industry to be able to ship its products across the continent and right to the farmer's door. According to an insight by PricewaterhouseCoopers, Ghana needs to grow its infrastructure and capital project financing by 8% every year to reach $12 billion in new financing for the next 10 years, 2025. We look forward to the African Development Bank, which is represented here, as well as the World Bank, investing in our rail infrastructure to move fertilizer and other commodities from Tema Port to inland port.
The conference is a 3-day event organized by Commodities Research Unit and the Africa Fertilizer Agribusiness Partnership.
Let's still stay within the agri sector, and Ghana's target of hitting 1 million tons of cocoa output annually is gradually becoming a mirage. One of the traditional setbacks to achieving this target, which is smuggling into neighboring Côte d'Ivoire, is now changing trends. The new direction is now the eastern path through Togo. President of the Concerned Farmers Association of Ghana, Nana Obuade Opambo Boateng, revealed this to Joy Business in an interview. He said this is further threatening the industry.
Now cocoa is coming down, so you have to know the first, if it's let's say 100 and now it's 50, then you have to know that the 50 goes to where? Goes to the smugglers. And even the farmers are not even complaining. When you go to the eastern region, they are complaining that, hey, now the smugglers are not even coming. They have the cocoa and then they are not getting people to buy. They are not giving them the money. Yeah. And then they buy them within sacks and other things. Then they send it away. Which they pass through our borders. Through our borders, my brother. It's serious. And our people are not serious. Our Greek is just on a paper. One, the cocoa plantation, they are destroying it to plant rubber. And two, the new trees that they are planting is only 3%. All the trees that we have in this country are old plant. And go to Côte d'Ivoire and see, they are new plant. You see, and the money that sometimes comes, that Cocoa Board use this to do this and that, it is alleged, that is me, our insiders are telling us, it's alleged that they use that money to do a different thing altogether. Some of them don't understand, why should I cut this tree? At least, even it's old, I can get this. Am I going to wait till the 3 years before I will get money? So they need to educate them, orient them, talk to them.
We're still live on the marketplace. We're taking a breather here, bringing you an investment tip courtesy Dauphin Finance.
Investment Tips is brought to you by Dauphin Finance, deposits, investments, borrowings, and advisory.
Let's now get to understand some investment constraints, starting with the liquidity constraint. What is the liquidity constraint to the investor's plan? This tells the need for cash in excess of new contributions or savings during the investment horizon. The cash amount required and the time will impact the assets to be invested in for the portfolio. This will impact the returns expected, as near cash investments will have to be included in the portfolio.
Investment Tips was brought to you by Dauphin Finance, deposits, investments, borrowings, and advisory.
Now, the Small Scale Miners Association is lamenting the temporary ban on mining activities is significantly affecting their businesses. The association says they have incurred losses of over 300 million Ghana cedis since the ban took effect.
Business have been very bad. As you know, since the minister declared the ban on all activities of small-scale mining in Ghana, our members have not been to work, despite the fact that we continually incur debts on non-mining and producing activities at the site. These activities include security of our properties and then also the maintenance of the mine pit and the rest.
Right. So what has been your level of engagement with government since this particular ban began?
Well, so far we have met the sector minister, and then we've had a couple of discussions with the Minister for Environment as well. And then we've met the members of Council of State. We are trying to let them know that the licensed small-scale miners are duly licensed by law as per the 2006 Act, Minerals and Mining Act 703, and then other related acts, EPA Act 1994, Act 490, and then the Local Government Act 1993, Act 462. You see, we and the large-scale companies are regulated under this very acts that I've mentioned it to you. So we think that it's a bit unfair that the licensed small-scale miners have been lumped together with the illegal operators, which we have been fighting since 2014, when we inaugurated our very first task force at UMAT. By that time, I think the Honorable Minister Fuseni was the sector minister, and he actually inaugurated our very first task force to deal with illegal mining. And so it's rather unfortunate that this is happening to us.
The argument that has been made is that looking at the cost of illegal mining to the nation, these are some sacrifices that we'll have to make, at least for the next 6 months. We're already, I think, about 3-4 months into the ban, no?
We are about 4 months. Yes, you see, you said that the cost of illegal mining, of which we have started fighting, and even so far, our task force are all over the place, chasing the dredges here and there. We have destroyed over 3,000 dredges, and then spent around 400,000 Ghana cedis to sponsor for this task force activities. And so it is really pathetic and very unfair on our part to suffer this. But hey, like you said, we are patriots before businessmen. And so if that is the price we have to pay for Mother Ghana to be able to sanitize this industry, of which we are also very much concerned. We want to sanitize the industry, but then the fault is not coming from licensed small-scale miners, even though we have been targeted unfairly and wrongly.
Now imagine being able to contact your doctor for medical attention without having set foot in a hospital. Well, that's the innovation tech startup Dr. Group Limited is introducing in Ghana with their Dr. Ghana app. The Joy Business Van meets with co-founders who are hoping to open a new page for healthcare delivery in Ghana. Here's an excerpt.
Okay, but you haven't taken any medicines yourself, I hope.
A painkiller.
Just a painkiller. Okay, so that's okay. But you don't have any, you are not vomiting, you don't have any stomach pains, no diarrhea.
For a doctor who's looking for an easy way to reach out to her patients, the Dr. Ghana app works perfectly for Dr. Nash Levanderpoy. The app was developed by 3 tech startups, Cedric Fuje, Serge Zeppa, and Kojo Sefa. Cedric conceived the idea a couple of years ago, but he had nursed a passion for quality healthcare and technology from childhood.
I grew up with a mom that was always sick. She had a debilitating disease, so she couldn't complete school, she couldn't work. And so I knew the importance of good health to somebody's future. And so I always knew I wanted to be in healthcare. But of course, I started growing up, I developed an affinity for technology, and I knew that for me to be able to do what I want to do and scale it, I need technology.
All right, so for the full story, make a date on Joy Business or Joy Business Live, Joy Business Van on the Joy Business Live. And this is where we wrap up the marketplace for today. Many thanks for your company. My name is Emmanuel Abuaji. Have a good afternoon.